Dit is Drop or Dram, de podcast voor whiskyliefhebbers. Van beginner tot kenner. Schenk je favoriete glas in en geniet met ons mee.
Ja, hier is hij dan, de beloofde bonusaflevering van de Cotswolds Distillery. Ik heb met Rob Patchett, Global Brand Ambassador van de Cotswolds Whisky Distillery, gezeten in de blending room, waar we de hele range nog hebben even doorgeproefd. Jullie hebben al kunnen luisteren in de reguliere uitzending naar de prachtige dingen die ze maken. Een jonge distillery uit 2014 die nu al een expansion en 2 keer zo groot of 3 keer zo groot is geworden. Maar de meest mooie dingen maakt. Bijna alles cask strength op hun signature en de mooiste vaten. De vaten zorgen voor de beste smaken. Dus het absoluut selecteren van de mooiste smaken in de vaten. Ja, dat staat key bij hun. Dus we hebben de hele range doorgeproefd. Dus luister ons even mee als ik jullie terugneem naar de Cotswolds en de blending room. En samen met Rob Patchett deze prachtige dranken even onder de loep heb kunnen nemen. Dit is Drop or Dram. Nog steeds in de blending room van de Cotswolds Whisky Distillery. Samen met Rob Patchett, Brand Ambassador of the Year. En dan niet gewoon alleen voor Cotswolds, maar gewoon voor alles. So a legend in the zone. Right. Yeah, well, come on. You got the certificate to prove it. You're Brand Ambassador of the Year. And you know your whiskey. You're a genuine, lovely guy anyway. So... I had dinner and we had a good laughs. We had a good conversation. So absolutely friendly as Cotswolds Distillery itself. So absolutely brand ambassador. You poured me my first glass. Going in Cotswolds whiskey.
This is signature, yeah, and
40% alcohol,
46%, all natural color, non-chill filtered. But I guess the nuance of this is really down to 70% of this is aged in red wine STR, 30% is aged in first fill bourbon. Full term, everything aged separately. But the big difference is that 12 weeks before we bottle this, we will disgorge. So say, for instance, we use 10 casks, 7 STR, 3 bourbon. We'll disgorge all 10 casks into a vatting tank, and then we'll actually add water to proof down from 63 to 50. Now that's a large amount of water to crash down the alcohol level. So what we do is we'll leave that overnight and then fill the casks with that singular liquid of STR, bourbon and water. So we'll refill the 10 casks plus a couple of extras because we've increased the volume, and we'll actually leave it to settle, marry and come together for 12 weeks before bottling at 46%. It's an old cognac process, but it just softens all of the edges of the whiskey.
So it's also very small batch. Only a few casks.
Yeah. We don't use a lot at all.
No, absolutely. And now, smelling. It's a pretty young whiskey, as you told me before. But it's nothing like what you would expect from a young whiskey. Young whiskey are very grainy, malty-like, very harsh on the tongue with the alcohol. It's not. It's so mature. It's so full-bodied. It's so rounded.
Yeah, we use a 4-day fermentation that creates a lot of esters that can create flavor profiles in maturation that would be this. I mean, usually esters are seen as faults in whiskey distillation. For us, they're actually bigger flavor compounds that transfer an oiliness that really brings all of that texture together.
That's amazing. If I would guess blind, and people listen to our podcast know I'm not the best whiskey taster in the world. I say, this is 8-9 years old at least.
Yeah.
Full body, fully matured on red wine casks. Because I get the red wine notes. I get the subtle red wine notes. And people say, what are red wine notes? Well, it depends on if you look at Bordeaux or Burgundy wines, or can be completely different. But it's the light red fruits of strawberries. It's cherries.
It's fascinating how people get loads of different things, because red fruits is definitely there. And then some people will get red apples and pears.
Yeah.
And like I say, I bit into that crepe Suzette last night and I just got freshly grated orange and like creaminess as well. So there's so many different elements that show itself for such a young whiskey. It's phenomenal.
Yeah, there's so many layers. Every little sip is something different.
Yeah.
But powerful enough. And 46%, it gives you that lovely warm feeling. But it's not as strong as you would go on, and that it burns down your palate. And you need 3 more sips to get going, more or less. The other ones in the core range are cask strength.
Yes.
Is there a reason for that?
Yeah, I mean, there's 2 reasons. As you know, and as you said, we created the distillery from a whiskey drinker, whiskey maker's point of view. And so we're very much focused on big flavors, big aromas. And the one thing that cask strength does is it carries big flavors and big aromas. And that's why we did it, because it does allow for the full extent of the cask, the full extent of the red wine STR cask, the extraction, and the capability to get the purest representation of the cask.
The purest representation of the cask. And then people can water it down as they like we did on the second glass we have next to us.
Yeah.
Which is Founder's Reserve.
We're going to go Founder's Choice, yeah.
Founder's Reserve. Yeah. A lot darker in color. Also STR. That's the most beautiful sound ever. I love that sound. And the other sound you hear is we're sitting here in the blending room, but there might be some sounds in the background, but it's a working distillery. I'm here actually in a working distillery, so there's work to be done. People in the office, from marketing, sales guys. There's a production. There's a bottling room next to us. It's everything's happening as we speak. So because we're not drinking it, but we're producing it, and we're doing. This is important work as well. Tasting.
Absolutely. Quality control.
Yeah. I have to put that on my business card as well. Quality control. Because it's cask strength, don't make the mistake of inhaling too much of your alcohol, because if you water it down, it still stands up.
Yeah, I mean, I always say our whiskey is not scared of water. So when it comes to our whiskey, you can add water, you can add as much as you want, you can 50-50 it if you want. You will still get bags and bags of flavor. The big concern with cask strength is that you always over egg it with water, you lose the flavor. We make a big whiskey, we make an oily whiskey, we make something that you can have a lot of fun with a cask strength expression because you're not going to spoil it.
Yeah. We've got the signature. I know what the signature is. The Founders, probably Dan's favorite, coming from Dan as a Founders.
Absolutely. So with the Founder's Choice, it's a 100% red wine STR. So full term aged in American oak red wine casks that have been shaved out. So you take the interior of the wine off the inside of the barrel. You're still left with a lot in the grain. So you can still get about 6 liters of wine in the grain of the wood, but it's almost like a virgin purple tinged oak cask. Put an indirect flame through the middle of the cask so that you're not actually touching the sides, but you're introducing such an extreme heat that it will caramelize and toast the interior of the barrel. And all of those sugars from the wine and the American oak will start to caramelize. So it's almost like a creme brulee on the inside of the barrel. And then we add a very, very aggressive char. And with that char, that will seal in all of those flavors so that you can really get, when you introduce a spirit, it will go way deeper than the wine into the grain of the wood, and you will get, and when it extracts flavor from the wood, it will get virgin American oak, red wine, no sulfurous element from the red wine, caramelized sugars, and a fresh char that will give it filtration and natural color. So it's a really, really active style of cask that creates big flavors.
Big flavors, and red wine is not a choice, an obvious choice to go to. You see a few SDR casks. Any choice of wine? Does that make a huge difference to the flavors?
No, because of the STR process, it's not too, I mean, usually if you're using American oak in wine, it's going to be places like Portugal, Spain. I know that Musa use it, a lot of Napa Valley Wineries use American oak. But I think the other thing to bear in mind is wine casks and the wood used for wine casks has to be seasoned so much more than bourbon barrels do, because they have to age authentically, no disrespect to sherry, because they have to authentically age a very delicate wine, they have to be seasoned to such a high degree that as long as you put the STR process on that is a really high quality American oak cask that then has a process that allows for consistency and multiple layers of flavor extraction as well.
So for STR, it's not like finishing an aroma or a port cask. So the process is more part of the flavoring. And looking at it is that part of the process is putting red wine. It's not like what you said, sherry or rum or port cask, and you extract the flavors from there. It is part of the process of the cask you want or you need to get these kind of flavors.
I mean, Jim Swan developed the cask, and there was a couple of reasons why he did it. One of the main ones being that bourbon casks and sherry casks are always the main two dominant casks used in whiskey, but wine casks are only ever used sporadically in finishing, but they're high quality. And there is so much in circulation that there's no shortage, which meant that you had cheap, high quality, readily available casks that if you have found the right cooper could go through a great process that for a young distillery would then give you big flavors in a quick amount of time and consistently as well. And that's all you could ever want from a cask as a young distillery.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Because finishing is well, easy if you get the right cask.
Yeah.
You don't finish actually here.
No, we do not.
It's fully matured.
Always.
Because as I'm looking at one of the most obvious ones, a bourbon cask, that's not a big surprise because that is the most used cask in the whiskey industry itself. So it's never a finish, more or less. It's always matured. Then you also have a sherry cask. And then there's a lot of people going, yeah, sherry. What's sherry? It's two types of sherry you'll use. PX and Oloroso.
Correct.
Fully matured on PX and Oloroso.
Correct. Yep. So no finishing in sherry either, even though we were advised to want to use PX for finishing. We still lean in and we still take a fully matured PX cask, both in American oak and Spanish oak. And then we will mix it with Spanish and American oak Oloroso hogsheads. And yeah, it's quite a complex mix, but it really is the full extent of what a sherry cask can be.
Yeah, if I taste it, this is what people think back in the 80s and 90s. This is what sherry is. This is the knife and fork. You have to chew. You have to sit down, think about it.
Yeah.
It grows on you slowly. It's not like you're sipping it away and then, I'll have another one.
It keeps giving as well because there are so many different elements going into it. Like I say, 2 different oak types in American and Spanish, 2 different wood sizes in butt and hogshead, and then 2 different sherry types in Oloroso and PX. It's just this multi-layered, fun, sensory-driven style of sherry cask.
Yeah, and being a young distillery, and the people are still hot on numbers. Well, there are numbers on it, but it's the cost, the volume by alcohol.
Yeah.
But there's no age statement on it. Being a young distillery, but using those type of casks and fully maturing, you don't want a cask to be 12, 14, 15 years old if you put them on a PX, but because that would be too much.
I think, to be honest with you, Dennis, the one thing that we do here is we chase flavor. And so we're constantly trying to make sure that we're on top of our casks and the flavor profiles. And it's not that because we don't have old stock, we don't want to do old stock. It's just that we have very active wood, we have a big spirit, and we have a bit more of a welcoming climate. So we're able to achieve things a lot quicker than Scotland, but not to the extreme of, say, a Taiwan or an India, with that really happy middle ground where if you do everything correctly with regards to your spirit and your full-term maturation and your wood quality, everything being first fill, you don't need those 10 to 15 years for all your impurities to flash off because you're not introducing any impurities.
So it's choice. And like you said, it is very flavor driven. It's very much about the taste. So you're constantly monitoring So it's not about age. Age is just a number. Well, at my age it is. But it's part of the process. Aging is, but it's not the most important thing. It's all about flavor. It's constantly monitored. So if you have the right casks and you think it's slowly maturing, you can easily bring it up to 15 years. But that's a choice.
It's like you say, bourbon casks are definitely the barometer of time, alcohol, and flavor. And you can't rush it. You can't cheat it. If you've got 100% pure bourbon cask, which I think we should pour right now, that gives you the perfect example of what a distillery can be, should be, and will be, because it is just spirit and a very honest style of wood.
Yeah, because bourbon is probably the best known wood. And if you want to taste right back to the base, not the new spirit, but a little bit of a matured spirit, always go back to bourbon cask because it's the most honest one out there. It gives you the most flavor of how the spirit is made and the base of where all the other ones come from when you put it in different casks. And I've got the bourbon cask right in front of me. Ooh.
It's always the purist's whiskey, I think, because if you want to know what a distillery is about, if you want to know what the distillery character is about, be it fruity, oily, waxy, floral, bourbon cask will only ever accelerate and show the honesty of that spirit.
Ooh, so much nice, zesty, and how much alcohol is in it? Because it's got prickly on the tongue. Of course, I'll add some water to it, just a slight.
So we're coming in at 60% on this one. The actual bourbon cask release that we do is 59.1. I'm not going to lie. I'm going to have to say this to your listeners. Right now, we are actually having a single cask bourbon, which is about 8.5 years old. And
I'm so lucky.
I must admit, that is an absolute delight. So one of the things that I've had to put Dennis through, and it's such a struggle, is I have a lot of single cask samples that I need to get through this morning. So Dennis has reluctantly volunteered himself to sit through and taste these with me.
And we're not going to do that in the bonus episode because we don't want to make the listeners too jealous that they can't get their hands on it. But they can get their hands on the core range and some of the airport exclusive and other country exclusives as well. But this is a delight. It's the biscuity, but so full-bodied.
It's like we talked about this yesterday, and I think it's a really interesting thing to raise, is that when you have tasting notes in whiskey, you have to be very, very conscious of who you're speaking to.
Yeah.
Because, if we talk about Christmas cake, that's very British. It's not a flavor profile that you would, get in the Netherlands, really.
So talking stroopwafels, it's very Dutch.
Yeah, exactly. And then what were those little biscuits that you brought this morning? Yeah. They're exactly the kind of flavor profile that I would like to see in a bourbon STR blend, but a little more biscuity. This bourbon cask that we're trying right now, it's creamy. It's like shortbread, sweet biscuit, a blonde biscuit, but also it's got really nice orange and lemon citrus going through it as well.
But especially the creaminess of it, because some of the bourbon cask you get is always very citrusy, like vanilla-like, because of the American oak, but not always the case in the oiliness, and not always the case of the full bodiness. It's such this is an everyday one.
Yeah, that's cask strength as well. That is,
but it's so
dangerous.
Easy to drink.
I'll tell you what I'll do. I'm going to send you home with a cask sample, 50%.
This is so nice.
This is so nice. That is a really special one. I'm really sorry to all of your listeners, but if they want to buy our bourbon cask, it's very, very easy to discern as well. We make sure that we color code all of our whiskeys. Yeah. So if you're ever listening to this and you want to sort of get a good taste of what we're going through right now, just look for the orange box.
And that will go down very well with our Dutch listeners, because our Dutch national color is orange.
Exactly. There you go. It's like we made it for the Dutch people.
Or the McLaren team. It depends on what you're looking at. Well, no, but absolutely wonderful things that we can taste here. Something else which always amazed me here, tasting it, the peated cask.
Yes.
And there's a lot of people that read the label and say, oh, I like Cotswold peat.
Yeah.
There is no peat in Cotswolds.
No.
No. Because, well, even if you have a walk around here, there's a lot of beautiful sheep, cows, marshlands, beautiful flowers, but absolutely, even if you fall down, you will see it. There's no peat.
No, and we do love peated styles of whiskey. We don't make a peated spirit. That
is important. You don't make peated spirit, or you have a peated cask.
So what we do with that is we really wanted to have one or a representation of peated within our portfolio. And so some of our other distilling friends had been playing around with peated casks, and we thought we'd just buy one just to give it a go, a little bit of experimentation. And sticking to our maturation policy of full term, filling at 63.5, we started testing it after a few months, and the flavors were just incredible. So these are ex-Islay casks from a distillery that use quarter casks. I don't think you need to be a genius to figure that out. Rhymes with...
it is a very difficult name to pronounce, and it gets easier when you drink it.
Yes, exactly. Rhymes with Lafroig.
Yeah.
So these are 125 litre American oak casks that are used at Lafroig to age their quarter cask expression. We then buy it from them and use it to age our very fruity spirit. And it's like light Islay whiskey and mezcal had a baby. It's sweet, it's herbal, it's fruity, it's smoky, it's spicy. It's a real flavor journey. It's brilliant.
It is a flavor journey because when a peated cask, if you pour it into the glass and I nose it, I don't get the peat.
No.
Just 3-4 drops of water and it explodes in the peatiness. And I go, ooh, this can be too much. And then I sip it and it's just a layer of gentle smoke over the biscuity, kind of malty flavors you're looking for and the oiliness in it. And it's not hitting you in the face. It's so gentle. It's so warming. It's like just when you start your fire in your home and or your barbecue. It's just the first few flakes the first puff of smoke.
Yeah, it's really nice because it's not an assault on the senses. It's just this really nice, gentle, long, like 20 to 30 second roller coaster of different flavor profiles showing themselves. Yeah, I really do enjoy that, especially coming into summer and lighting the fire pit and sitting with pals. It's a great dram for that.
Yeah, and also very approachable for non-peated drinkers.
100%.
Yes, it's just warming. It's not it doesn't hit you in the face.
Yeah.
So that's it. That is the core range. Of course, signature, founder's choice, sherry cask, peated cask, bourbon cask.
Yep.
And then you have at the distillery and some other beautiful stuff. Do we need to go in there or?
Yeah, we can. I mean, this is the joy of being a whiskey distillery. We can go as far or not as far as you want because I guess what we could do is I'll just give you the structure. We've got the core releases, so 4 cask expressions, and then depending on the market you're in, we have signature and reserve. They're your everyday drinking, Monday to Friday sort of whiskies. And then every season, every spring, we do hearts and crafts, which will be a French oak style of seasoning that is a little bit more esoteric. So Banyuls, Pinot de Charon, Sauterne. And then
I almost forgot that was the arts and craft ones. That is not in the box. That's the one-offs. Very French wood driven.
Yes,
it's always French wood.
They're all French oak. So that looser grain, a bit more tannin, a bit more spice. We always say with the fruit extract of the spirit and the seasoning, it's kind of like the iron fist in the velvet glove. So it's quite impactful, but it's soft and gentle at the same time. Really fun.
Yeah, it is really fun, but it's very, very limited. Always ones and beautiful painting.
William Morris print on the box as well. So we love that in the spring. We've got the next one coming out in a few weeks, which I've actually got a cask sample for you in the car. And then when it comes to harvest time around September, we do the harvest release. And that's a great one because we'll work in collaboration with a local artist and we will utilize their painting in 2 different ways. Their painting will be the outer tube for the packaging, but then it will also be an inspiration to Alice, our whiskey maker, in which she will use her creativity and artistic side to draw influence from the painting to create a flavor profile that pairs with the painting through the blending of different casks here at the distillery. So we've done it 3 times already, and we're just lining up the 4th artist, and Alice is then going to get the painting and be able to start working her magic in blending together a flavor profile that matches that. So it's Alice and an independent artist creatively working together to make a painting and whiskey matching.
That's absolutely wonderful. So it's harder to get, but also be available on the Dutch market. But if you ever never tasted it, go for the Cotswolds. I think we'll just leave it there for the minute, because like I said, you're just starting up. 2014, we're 10 years down the road. Last summer, 10 years anniversary.
Last summer, 10 years, yeah.
Yeah, that was the 10 years anniversary. Already expanded, already a new distillery, a completely beautiful brand home, situated in the countryside of the beautiful North Cotswolds.
Yep.
Absolutely a joy to visit. Plenty more things coming, because you're working hard. You've got 5 core expressions, as you say. You got the harvest coming. You got single cask for different retailers all over the world. There's so much more in the pipeline, because if I see the sample in the blending room, the samples you have over here, it's crazy.
It's quite daunting, actually, how much we've got coming through, how much we can do. Yeah, we have a lot coming out whiskey-wise. So if you're into your whiskey and you love flavor and the Cotswolds Distillery, really watch this space.
Yeah, from collector's items to absolutely a wonderful core range.
And shall we say some regal collaborations?
Regal collaborations. Yeah. Wow, that sounds royal.
Yes, it does sound royal, doesn't it? Yes.
No, absolutely wonderful. Rob, thank you very, very much. I know we can't take too much of your time, because there's a training session for a team coming up. We still have to taste a few cask samples, and I still have to make pitches for everybody and just go around the tour and tell everybody how wonderful this place is. So we'll just leave it. It sounds a little bit harsh, but we'll go on a private note. And thank you very, very much again for having me, and to all our listeners. And I would say, what would you say? Try Cotswolds.
If you go for it. If you see Cotswolds on the shelf, go for it. We make whiskies for whiskey drinkers.
No,
that's it. That's all.
That's it.
It's as simple as that.
Simple as that. And whiskey doesn't have to be overcomplicated.
No, it just has to taste good and be fun with friends.
Bro. Thank you very much, Rob.
Thank you, Dennis.
Dit was Drop or Dram. Vergeet niet om je te abonneren op onze podcast of kijk op onze website www.dropordram.nl. Tot de volgende keer.